Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Chargers Analytics with Arjun. And it is a great time to be a Chargers fan right now. I mean, going into that Monday night game, I mean, there's so much trash talk between both teams. Personally, I thought the Raiders were a tad bit overrated, if I'm being honest. Like, I think some of their wins were a little bit lucky. They almost pretty much lost to the Dolphins with Jacoby Brissett, got bailed out by Lamar Jackson fumble against the Ravens. They played well against the Steelers, but Big Ben is nothing like he's nothing to brag about beating anymore. So, I thought the Chargers, had a really good chance to win this game. And they did. And they did it in a resounding fashion. Brandon Staley is just one of the most aggressive coaches already in 4 games in his first year as head coach. And it's awesome to see. I mean, everything, like I said, analytically driven, uses the data, has the guys in his ear talking to him. It's awesome to see. So, plan of attack for today's episode. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the early down struggles that the Chargers have had, looking to some of the data behind that. And then also we'll be looking at some of the strengths of where the Chargers have been, especially on defense. And then also, as usual, previewing the Browns and taking a look at some of the important stats and like key players from the Browns for this upcoming weekend. So, as usual, let's dive straight into it with our first graph. This is made by Timo Risky, who is a data scientist at PFF, which is where I work. So he's someone that I've talked to a little bit, and he's a great guy, really smart. You can follow him at PFF Moo on Twitter. So thank him for this awesome graph. So what are we looking at here? We are looking at how often do NFL offenses convert a first down on each down. So as you can see, the Chargers convert first downs on 19% of their first downs. They convert a first down on the series okay, so I'm not explaining this right. So basically the percentage is pretty much when do they convert okay, so the end percentage is how many times they convert a first down on a series. So the Chargers have converted a first down on 80% of their series, which is pretty or 80% of like a first down series. So first and 10, second and 10, third and 10, fourth and 10. They've done that on 80% of their series, which is pretty good. Honestly, it's pretty good. And but we're here to talk about some of the early down struggles. And so they've only converted a first down on 19% of their first downs, and they've only converted a first down on 51% of first and second downs, if that makes sense. So this is like the cumulative percentage. So, when you look at a team like the Chiefs or the Cowboys, the Rams or the Cardinals, right? These are like the most explosive offenses in the league. These are some of the most high scoring offenses, putting up a lot of points, a lot of yards. The Chargers need to be up near that 56, 57, 58% mark. And I think it's important because, you don't always want to have to rely on getting a first down on third downs, because what does that mean? Third downs are usually known as pure passing situations. So you're pretty much letting the opposing pass rushers tee off against their quarterback because they know it's going to be a pass. So guys like Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue, and Ngakoue didn't have a great game, but Crosby, I mean, he was beating Stuart Gordon quite a bit, especially on third downs, because he knew it was going to be a pass. And as I'll speak about later, Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett are two guys you don't want to let them have a head start. So the Chargers need to be better at early downs, try to be more aggressive. I feel like it seems like a lot of the first down passes are just quick, 5-yard outs, 5-yard spot routes where they're trying to set up like a manageable second down, which, I guess is okay. They're still getting positive yards, positive EPA, but, it would be nice to see them, be a little more aggressive on early downs. And as you can see, the Browns, they're kind of in a similar boat. They convert first downs on 55% of their early downs, so first and second down. And they do a pretty good job of going for it on fourth down, as Stefanski, I would say, is probably, the second most aggressive coach after Staley, based on what Staley has done. Now, this also goes back, to early downs. Are the Chargers passing it a lot? If you look at, their week 4 matchup against the Raiders, it seemed like they were running it a lot, which, it's not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, I'd advocate for passing the ball with Justin Herbert, but the Raiders front seven in the run game is pretty bad. They are a pretty good pass rushing team. They have some pass rushers over there, but their linebacking group and that D line isn't built to stop the run. And really, no Gus Bradley defenses, but just because they don't, they focus a lot on limiting explosive plays. So the Chargers were running it a ton with Austin Eckler. I wasn't too excited to see Larry Roundtree get a ton of early down carries instead of Austin Eckler. Like I feel like Joe Lombardi and Staley are trying to manage the reps, which I understand, but there were times where they would hand it off to Roundtree on first and second down. I'm just like, you could make a better use of those downs. But in total, the Chargers are passing it at a 7% clip over expected. So as you can see down here, this graph was made by Ben Baldwin, as I mentioned in my last video. The expectation, so the expected part comes from down distance, field position, time, the score differential. So 28-14, the differential is 14, and then the win probability, right? So based on all these factors, the Chargers are passing it 7% more than expected, which, that's good. That's where you want to be. You want to be over expected, especially for a team like the Chargers, who have a really good passing attack when it's clicking. The Browns, on the opposite hand, right, who we play this Sunday, pass it 7% less than expected. But that's also because they have the best running back duo in the league with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. And we will have our hands full. Believe me, we will have our hands full with those two this weekend. And the Browns offensive line, I mean, if you talk to Steven about it, he'll tell you they're probably the best offensive line in the league. Let's go to this graph by Seth Walder. He works at ESPN as their sports analytics guy, right? So Seth Walder has the ability to use tracking data. Remember, tracking data is better than charting data for the most part. And he was able to plot the pass rush win rate for all eligible edge rushers with the double team rate for all edge rushers, right? So if we just look at where the Chargers guys are, Joey Bosa and Uchenna Nwosu are in that top right quadrant, the best quadrant to be in. And that is a beautiful sight to see, right? And the important thing to note here is where Joey Bosa is. He is second highest to TJ Watt in pass rush win rate. But the important thing is he's not one of the highest double teamed players in the NFL. And why? It's because of Brandon Staley. If you guys have access to all 22, or even just if you want to go look at the broadcast game highlights, right? Go back to that fourth quarter and watch how many times Brandon Staley put Drew Tranquill next to Joey Bosa, acting as a blitzer or acting as a fake blitzer. You know why he does that? Because the left guard or the right guard has to block Tranquill. Otherwise, it's a free rusher. Like Tranquill had multiple times. So because they have to account for Tranquill, Bosa gets that one-on-one against Leatherwood, one-on-one against Miller. And as you can see, he's obviously one of the best pass rushers, if not the best pure pass rusher in the NFL when he's not double teamed. And thanks to Brandon Staley and his ingenuity, he's allowing Joey Bosa to get more one-on-ones compared to guys like Nick Bosa, his brother, or, any of the Saints defensive ends, right? So it's really nice to see that Joey Bosa isn't in this upper top right quadrant, but being in the straight middle or top middle area is really, really nice to see. So Bosa winning above 30% of his pass rush reps. Awesome sight. This is what we love to see. And, Brandon Staley, obviously really, really good. So just staying on the topic here before I move on, we are going against possibly the best edge duo or pure edge duo in the league. And Takk McKinley is nothing to look down on. I mean, Myles Garrett, obviously freak of nature. He's going to be going against Rashawn Slater for most of the game. He lines up on the defense's right side. So Rashawn Slater, he's going to be going against the left tackle. He's a beast. And Myles Garrett currently has, I believe, 26 pressures per PFF's charting. Jadeveon Clowney is 21, both rank in the top 7. Per the tracking data, both are in the top 6 in pass rush win rate. And with Takk McKinley, they have the Browns have 3 guys in the top 9 in pass rush win rate. So if there's a test for any offensive line, it's going to be this Browns defense. And Storm Norton didn't look good against the Raiders. Max Crosby had his way with him. He did look good, like decent against the Chiefs, bad against the Cowboys. But if anything, this is the game where we need Norton to be good. Otherwise, Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett and Takk McKinley will have a field day because through the first 4 weeks of the season, they have completely obliterated almost every single offensive line. And if you watch that Chicago game, you would know what I'm talking about. That they're going to wreak havoc if we don't, help out our tackle positions. Now, can Rashawn Slater hold up with Myles Garrett? Potentially. I mean, Slater has the athleticism. I'm not sure if he has, the sturdy base. Maybe that's a question you ask Steven if you get a chance. But it's going to be a chess match. It's going to be a chess match for sure. So real quick, let's just talk about some of this third down offense. It does seem like the Chargers are heavily reliant on third and fourth downs to get them yardage and to move the sticks. And while that isn't sustainable, it's something that that's just what the Chargers are, right? Like the Chargers have the third best offense on third and fourth downs, right? You can see it right here. They have the third best passing attack on third downs. They are below average on third and fourth downs, but I would say some of that is partly due to red zone issues. But, the Chargers being good on third downs isn't the worst thing in the world. It's just that they need to start being a little bit better on early downs. So I thought it was important to show that while they are struggling on early downs, they are making up for it on later downs, just like other really, really good offenses like the Cardinals, like the Chiefs, and like the Rams. Now, let's go into the final two things I want to talk about. The special teams. Yep. The Chargers are not last in special teams EPA. Remember, EPA in this graph and some of the graph I just showed stands for expected points added. It's a good way to measure efficiency on offensive, defensive, and potentially special teams to see, how the players and how the team is adding value to the game. So the Chargers rank 28th in special teams EPA. And yes, they're in the bottom 5, but they're not last. So at least Darius Swinton is being somewhat of an upgrade over, George Stewart. I just want to mention, if you see in the caption, these are only offensive special teams plays. So this is only when the Chargers are kicking the field goal, they're kicking the PAT, they're receiving the kickoff, or they are the punting team. So this is not looking at KJ Hill's horrific return game. This is not looking at when the Chargers are returning kickoffs, because if I did look at that, which I have, if we look at the defensive special teams plays, they're actually really, really pretty solid. I'm not going to say really, really good. They're pretty solid. I would say like they're slightly above average, which is not a bad thing, but they do need to improve on some of these offensive special teams plays. And I would say, the missing field goals and missing PATs contribute a lot to some of this decline, or some of this low ranking that the Chargers have right now. And the final thing I want to talk about is our defense with the Browns defense. So I put this graph up in my Cowboys preview, but I brought it back and I reran the data and updated it. So right here, we can see that the Chargers have the third highest pre-snap open look. So what does that mean? I talked about it all offseason. Open is when the two safeties are on both sides of the hashes. So the middle of the field is open, right? This is closed, where the safeties are like, they're not parallel. Open is when the safeties are almost parallel and the middle of the field is open. So remember, staple of the Staley Fangio defense is that they love to have a lot of middle of the field open looks, and the Chargers doing it at the third highest rate. Fangio is 2. Raheem Morris using Staley's old system is 1. So we can see Chargers are going to continue to do this. This means light boxes. This means that the Chargers are probably going to be susceptible to good running attacks, but they also are going to be pretty good against good passing attacks, which is why Dak didn't throw for 200. Mahomes only threw for 260. You're not going to beat this Charger team over the top. Derwin James getting beat by Henry Ruggs is probably one of the only times that's going to happen. But I made this graph also to show that the Browns are trying to run the Staley Fangio scheme in Cleveland. And you can tell that they wanted to do it because they signed John Johnson, they signed Troy Hill, and they go and draft JOK from Notre Dame and spend a first-round pick on Greg Newsome, a corner. So they want to have all these versatile secondary pieces so that they can play the Staley Fangio scheme. Like JOK can play star, money, linebacker, anything you wanted to, right? He has that chess piece term added to him. Like Greg Newsome is, a pretty good outside corner from the tape and from what the stats show so far. So it's going to be a chess match because I think the Browns are running what Staley's running, obviously not at the same rate and not using the players the same way, but they have a lot of pieces to where they can use Staley's principles in their own way. Like they're not going to put Myles Garrett standing up. I don't think. I might be wrong, or they might use Clowney standing up. But the whole point of the Chargers defense is to leave the middle of the field wide open and to force defense or force offenses to dink and dunk. And then once they get tired of it, like Derek Carr did, they'll throw an interception. So Brown's running a very similar defense to what the Chargers are running. Obviously not running the same coverages and everything, but I thought this was pretty interesting to look at and something to keep watch of during the game. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today's episode. I hope we learned a little bit about the Browns and how the Chargers are looking so far and how they need to improve in the early down on early downs. Also, don't forget, be mindful of Kenneth Murray. Going through an injury like that in practice is not something that we should be happy for. And if you are happy for Drew Tranquill to start, that's great. You just don't have to mention Kenneth Murray in that. And I mentioned to you guys about the positive EV versus negative EV thing, and it could be a positive EV thing that he got hurt, even though I don't want him to get hurt. But Tranquill has looked good, and the defense has played a little bit better when Tranquill's on the field versus when he's out of the field. So again, thank you guys for watching. If you're making it through this video / episode, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And with that, as always, bolt up.